What's up, everybody? Welcome to Urban Crawlers. On this video, I'm going to show you guys how to install the TRX-4M Brushless Power System on your, well, I'm going to be using my TRX-4M High Trail, which is going to be the C10 version. Ah, yeah, boy, I love this truck. So what we're going to do is we're going to install the brushless system inside the standard transmission, and then I'm going to take inventory of what we're going to be using. We need the ECM for the new brushless system. What is going on? All right, you're going to have a pack, this pack here with some products in it. Well, not products, but some hardware. You're going to have 4 screws and an adapter plate, and then we need the motor itself with the wires and everything. So now grab your vehicle. We're going to remove the top of the vehicle. Make sure that you disconnect your light kit if you have one. Place your vehicle in a good location where you don't have to worry about it getting scratched up or anything. And I just dropped it on my phone, so let's move my cell phone. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be using my Endura drill because it's faster for me, but we're gonna need a 1.5 mil Allen key to get these screws off over here. Let's drop this down. Am I too bright? I'm trying to change the light settings. So the 2 screws that we're gonna get is the one here for the ECM. Drop that over. And then the other one is right behind, right there, right behind this shock mount. The reason why I'm not using the overhead right now is because when the overhead looks down, this is what you guys see. Oh, you see? It's nice, right? And that's how you take the screw out. No. All right. So now we got the 2 screws removed. We're going to remove the ECM, unplug the servo, and unplug the motor for that. And we're going to set that over to the side. You can set it anywhere. It doesn't really matter. Now what we're going to do is we're going to remove the battery cover. Now this is optional, we don't have to, but get everything out of the way so that way we don't have any interruptions. But yes, we do have to remove the battery cover because we're taking the transmission out. So we have 2 screws right here that's going to get that done. Let's do that right now. You got the one there, 1 screw right there. This definitely put in your parts bin. And then the other screw right here. All right, so we got these 2 screws out. Let me get this one fully out and out of the way. All right, so we're gonna need a pair of wire cutters to cut these cables, zip ties. Be very careful cutting these zip ties. You can cut your wires, so just try to take your time cutting those. All right, we're gonna pull the wires out from that back plug, get them around. As you can see, they're free. We're gonna lift up the battery box. It's gonna lift from the transmission side. It's gonna feel like it's stuck. It's not. It's literally the sticker right here that's stuck to the transmission. So right now, if you guys could see these 2 little sliders right here on either side, probably see it better right here. They're hugging into the side of the chassis. So if you just turn one side of the battery cage, it'll pop out. So if you can see that right there, you're gonna turn, we're gonna do that to the battery cage and get it out. All right. All these lights, they're so bright. I'm gonna take myself off so that way you guys can see everything that we're doing. So now slowly pull the wires out from the battery cage. Okay, do we need to pull out both wires? No, we don't, but we're just gonna do it for right now to get the battery cage out of the way so that way we don't damage anything with the servo wire. And we're gonna place that over into the front. So now we're gonna get over to the transmission. We have 2 screws right here on this side, 1, 2, and then 2 screws on the opposite side, which we're only gonna be able to probably see with the overhead camera. So we got these 2 right here, 1, 2, 1, 2. So those are the 4 screws. Let's go ahead and take those off. Now I have to get I'm gonna get this one off first. It's gonna be the farthest one. And once you remove these screws, remember parts bin are gonna be the most helpful thing right now. I'll show you the differences between the screws as we put them back. So don't go crazy. Oh no, I mixed up the screws. That's fine. So I got the one screw over on that side. Now I'm getting this screw in the back here out. And then I'm gonna go after the two in the front over here. One. Two. The lawnmower people come at the worst times, always. Always. Alright, that one's stuck. And so let's back it out a little bit so you guys can see. There we go. That should be good enough. Alright, so now let's see, you can probably see more with the overhead. So you can see that we have the actual the drive link is connected right here. We could do this a couple of different ways, but I'm just gonna do it the most easiest way for you guys. So what I'm gonna tell you to do is just grab the motor and the transmission, wiggle it up. All right, so as you can see, it pops up. The front drive shaft and the rear drive shaft are just gonna pull out of each other and separate like that. And then the other ends are gonna stay with the vehicle, which is what you're gonna see here. So don't freak out, you're good to go. All right. Now we're gonna move the truck to the side. And what we're gonna do now is basically, I feel like we are, oh, this one is crazy bright right now. I forgot that I had that up so high. There we go. Now we're balanced out a little bit. All right, so what we're gonna do now is basically take the motor out because we're putting the brushless motor into this transmission. So which one do we want to remove? We're gonna remove the forward. Actually, that's the rear drive shaft. So let's just go ahead and take this one out. That's how you take it out, with that bolt right there. All right, put that in your parts bin. And now you can just pull that off right there. Now we're gonna have 4 screws here. 1, 2, 3, 4 to remove, to separate the actual transmission case, or to open it, if you will. So 1, 2, 3, 4. These screws we're gonna leave out, so that way we don't confuse them with the screws that hold the transmission into the vehicle. I never really looked at them and seen if there was a big difference. I believe there's a difference, and the difference is probably just gonna be the length of them. That's typically what it normally is. All right, so we got all 4 of those screws are out. They're right here. Okay, I'm gonna look real quick, and yes, it's gonna be the length. So let's go ahead and mix them up so that way I can show you guys how to find them if you mix them up anyway by accident. And plus, we're keeping them all in our parts bin, aka soap dish from IKEA, which cost about $1. All right, so now we have the transmission, the stock transmission, and we're gonna separate it. So real quick, I should have said this from the beginning. If you guys have a bearing kit and wow, nope, that's the wrong one. Nope, that's the wrong one. Nope, it's this one, yeah. So real quick, if you guys have a ball bearing kit, this will be the perfect time to install that. If you guys have a different gear that you want to install and change, this will be the perfect time to get that, because we're in the heart of the transmission. So to change the bearings right now are nothing. Right now we have bushings in here. To change the actual gears, it's perfect timing and everything. So if you're gonna do that, by all means do that. The The gears, the bearings, I'll show you guys basically how to pop them out. We're gonna take this pin out of this gear. So we want the gear out as well, but we want the pin first. So we're gonna try to just remove that pin. As you can see, I got a handle on it. So I just got the pin out. So now what you want to do is on all the bushings that are in there, you could do it with this pin. You take the pin, put it in the bushing, and then just push it, like wiggle it slightly, and it should get the bushing to come loose. It'll keep loosening up. I know you guys can't see that, but it's coming out, as you can see. Boom. They do have a tool that pulls out bearings. I just don't have that tool yet. I need to get it. Every time I order stuff, it's a performance part or something, so I forget to get the tool. So just pull the pin out, and then the pin will help you take out the rest of the bearings if you want, without damaging the actual bushings or so on and so forth. So you see me took that one gear out. We're going to do the same thing with this gear. We're going to pull the pin out, and then pulling the pin out of the bushing is just going to allow the gear to drop out. So now what's the big deal? Why are we doing that? Because we did not remove the lower end of the axle, so this is not going to come out. Okay. So now we have exposed the two motor mount screws that are back there. 1, 2. I hope you guys can see them. And those are going to be a 1.3 millimeter as well. So let's get in there and remove them. So you got 1, 2. So now, as you can see, those two are removed. They're out of the way. So now just separate the motor. We'll give it a little wiggle from the transmission. And as you can see, this is what you have left over. We're going to put the transmission down. I recommend that you take the motor mount screws right now and put them back into the motor. I do not recommend that you drill them all the way down. Leave them up a little bit. The motor should be able to spin freely. If the motor is not able to spin, you got the screws in too far, back it out. Don't test that theory. Just, trust me. That's basically what happens if you put the screws in too far. So you got the 2 screws with the motor. The motor still has the connection on it. If for any reason later on down the line you have another truck, or you have 2 trucks or whatever, you have an extra motor, or this one actually blows out, burns out or something, you actually have another motor to swap back in, and you already know where the screws are, so you don't got to worry about it, anything, right? Or if you want to sell it, by all means, or give it to somebody, trade or whatever. All right, so back onto the transmission and the parts. Okay, we're going to take the motor, the new brushless motor. We're going to get the actual parts that we have here. I need to lower that light down so that way it's not glaring like crazy. And we're going to open up this bag. We're going to open up the bag. And we're going to remove the parts that are in the bag. Okay. So now we have 2 small screws and 2 long screws. We're going to grab this adapter plate. And as you can see, it has the 2 notches. So that's a notch right there. That's a notch right there. Or if you will, what do they call them? Impressions or something like that. So basically you want to put the adapter on this way so that those notches are facing out, and then we're going to line up the holes with the motor holes. When you're looking at it in real life, you could see it a lot better. But so you line those 2 up, right? And then the adapter basically looks like this. It's nice and in place. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to grab the 2 smaller screws. Not both of them at the same time, just grab the smaller screws. So you can see the difference, and it's going to have that little blue thread lock on it. So So you grab the small one, line it up into that groove, and we're gonna just screw down that side of the motor. I don't recommend that you use your electric drill at this point. I'm just using mine because I've been doing this forever. Well, not forever, but I've been doing it for a while, so I don't feel like switching back and forth right now. All right. So you get them in. Now, if you will, 1.5 millimeter. You're going to just make sure that they're nice and snug. So what we're going to do is just give it a 2-finger twist, or a thumb finger twist, if you want. All right. It doesn't need to be any more tighter than that. You don't need to grab it down and wrench it, you know, in place and everything. I'll leave the screwdriver out so that if I need to use it. So now we have those in place. So now that's what it should look like. Your motor should be looking just like this right now with those 2 screws in place. All right. So now we're going to grab the transmission housing where the motor goes in. So this is what it looks like. Now left or right is where this thing is going to basically flop the wires to, because those are the only holes that we have available to line up with the transmission holes. So left or right, you make your decision. I'm basically going to make it that it goes to this side, which, looking at it, it's going to be, this is my left hand, right? So if you're looking and following the directions of the video, put it to the left side, because that was the side that everything was running already and running to the back of the vehicle. So that way we're going to run everything back in the same location through the battery cage, so on and so forth. All right. So now I'm going to grab my screwdriver. I'm going to load up the other screw, the longer screws. That should just be out right here. The wire should line up into its position, and then we should be able to get this screw down. And you should start feeling it getting into place. Basically, you could see it was going. I just pulled it off. All right. So you can see the screws getting down. Now we get the other screw and we go right next to it. And then give it a little pressure while holding the motor to the transmission, because you're making the new grooves into the plastic piece. All right. If you use the screwdriver, I'm not responsible, because you can strip out the adapter plate. So I'm not responsible if you do use this. Other than that, you're going to go through a various amount of tension and everything. As long as there's a gap in between this plate and the transmission, you still have to screw the screw all the way to the point where the gap goes away. And then from there, when you have no gap throughout the whole transmission and motor, is where we're going to just snug it up. Right there, 1, 2. So now real quick, normally when we put in motors, you have to adjust the motor and push it or pull it away from the actual gear. With all these new vehicles and everything, what I'm learning is, with all these new cars, they don't really give you room for adjustments. So don't try to go crazy trying to pull it closer towards the transmission. It's going to be where it's going to be. And basically just leave it at that, especially with these Traxxas items, or, you know, company to company items where they're the same company. They make them, they know, you know, the gaps and everything like that. So if anything happens, I guess it just is wound up covered under a warranty, I hope. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to grab this gear. So I hope you guys can see the difference. You got this one and then this one. All right. So this one with the plastic at the bottom, we're gonna slide into this position right here. You can see it right like that, and then we're gonna push the actual pin down, right? And then we're gonna get this gear and we're gonna slide it underneath both of those gears where it's facing up like that, okay? And then we're gonna put this pin down into the bushing like that, and then you should be looking like this right now, right? If you have plastic grease, you could go ahead and put that in if you want. If you don't want to put plastic grease, by no means don't. And if there's anything that's wrong with this transmission or anything that happens to it, contact Traxxas, because you have all the basic, you know, parts from Traxxas, so on and so forth. And I don't know if this video is more accurate enough to be like, oh, you know, I followed this video. They showed step by step into the thing. That'd be awesome if I get certified one day. Imagine. So with that being said, if you have any issues from this point on, contact Traxxas. Like I said, I'm not liable for any mess ups or anything. So make sure that you have all the bushings in place, if not bearings. Same on the other side. And now we're going to just take this and close this over, right? And then we're going to want to make sure that there's no split in between the seam. So you might have to maneuver the transmission housings until it closes all the way around, so that way, like I said, you have no openings behind the seams. So now we're gonna go grab our parts bin. We're gonna have these screws. This is gonna be the screws that we have basically sitting in here. All right, come on. All right, so I hope you guys can see the difference between the screws. You got that small one, the medium, and then the large one. There is one more other screw, and it's not machine. These are considered machine screws. The other screw that's in there, it's considered more of a coarse, which is going to be this one. This is what it looks like. All right, so that's the coarse screw. The coarse screw is for the drive shaft. Okay, the long one, the medium one, is going to be the one that keeps the transmission closed, and then the small one are going to be the ones that we're using to keep the transmission down. So we want these medium ones right now. I want 4 of them. Pick them out of your parts bin and put them to the side. 1, 2, 3. There goes the 4th one. All right, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. Transmission is still good. We're gonna put 1 screw in one spot, and we're gonna screw that down real quick. All right, so 1 screw in. Now we're gonna hold the transmission, and we're gonna take this drive shaft part right here and just rotate it slowly. And as you can see, the motor rotates. So this just indicates that everything is good, and you shouldn't hear any audible disruptions. It should be really smooth, and we're good to go. All right, so now we're gonna grab the rest of the 3 screws, and we're just gonna put them into place on the transmission, as you can see here. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's get that down into place. And we're gonna go. And we're gonna go right here. So now we have all 4 screws in the transmission. We're gonna go ahead and grab the actual vehicle. Now we have the wire, throw the wire over on the side. Now you want to rotate the drive shaft. I didn't explain this to you before I moved. Let's rotate the drive shaft. The screw should be facing up, or we should be able to see it, but this is really the bottom of the transmission. So when we rotate it down, it'll be facing down. That's what we want. We want to see and we want to look at right now, because what we want to do is drop the transmission somewhat in place, pick up the vehicle, rotate it, and then you could see how the screw is right here. So what we're going to do is try to join the drive shafts, and I know it's difficult to see because my big fingers and everything are in the way. So basically what I want you guys to try to accomplish is the fact that this screw is facing up and that screw is facing up on the transmission. Oh my God, can you just clear it up? Let's see, can we do it this way? As you can see, the screw is right there. All right, the screw's right there on the bottom drive shaft, and the screw is right there on the top drive shaft. I know you guys can see it. It's difficult for me to see it though, because there's so much glare because it's so bright, but the drive shaft is in place and connected. So now what we're gonna do is rotate the motor back, rotate the truck back over on its side, and you should be able to just put the transmission back in its location, which might need a little bit of wiggle, and it should snap back into place. The snap is going to be the actual transmission snapping into the skid plate, so it should be flush like this. All right. So now we're basically in phase. That's what they call it. The drive shaft is in phase in the front. We're going to have to link up the drive shaft in the rear in phase. Before we do that, let's grab one of these small screws and just get one into the transmission, so that way we know the transmission won't move on us. So we're going to go right here and get this one in. All right, so we got one down on the transmission. So now what we got to do is we're going to rotate the wheels until those screws in the front face up now to the top of the truck. So we're going to go ahead and rotate. So what I want you to do is look at the front axle or the front drive shaft, and then if, I know you can hardly see it right now, but the screw is facing up. There it goes, right through there. So once you get the screw facing up there, we're good to go. What we're going to do is we're going to go and concentrate on the back of the vehicle now. And if we go to the overhead, you can see that I have the screw facing up on the back of the vehicle on the drive shaft. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the other half of the drive shaft and get the screw to face up right there. And now you can see I'm holding on to this drive shaft part here. And with that facing up, we're just going to drop it into place. And we should be lined up right now. And as you can see down there, you can see the screw, okay? And then you see up here, the screw is lined up in place. So now what we're going to do is it should just slide on to the back piece of the transmission. I think they call it an outboard shaft, all right? And as you can see, we got it slid on right where it's supposed to be. So now we're going to grab that thin little screw that looks like it's very, very like aggressive. That one, the core screw. And we're going to take our 1.5 mil. Definitely don't use the drill on this one to put it in because they strip out very easily. So as you can see, we're getting the screw back into place. And once you start hitting resistance, just very, very, very slowly tighten it a little bit more and then let it go. It should be fine. It should not come out. I never had any issues doing the installations this way. So we're going to move on. Rotate the vehicle. We have 3 mushroom screws left. So 3 small mushroom screws like this one. I hope you guys can see that. And those are going to be the transmission screws. We have the one in on this side. We're going to put the one in on this side right now. And now we're going to put the one in on this side. And I hope you guys can see that. This one almost stripped out. That one almost stripped out. So that's why I want you guys to be very, very careful if using drills to put screws back in. All right. Is there a way to fix them, especially with the plastic, if they strip out? I believe there is. I'm going to look into it and I'll try to get a video done about that. Other than that, I don't know what the procedure would be with that, because we are, you know, attempting work on our vehicles. So there we go. We have all 4 screws in there. So now we're going to grab the wires and pull them together, as you guys can see. We're going to go ahead and take our battery cage. So I want you guys to see how I'm holding it. The 2 tabs are over here. The truck's facing away from me almost on an angle. So on the battery cage on the corner, far corner right there where that sticker is, the black sticker, I want you to push the motor wire through and then the the servo wire through. All right, so we're gonna go up, in. Hope you guys can see that, and then right down, right there. All right, so they should be just laying across just like that. Now we're gonna take the 2 tabs that are right here, okay? And we're gonna connect them into the side rails of the TRX-4M. I hope you guys can see that. You guys can't see that, right? When you're looking at it in person, you'll understand what I'm saying. This tab and this tab are going to go into the C channels on the inside of these 2 rails right here. And then you're going to push one down. The other one's going to be up over here in this area. And then you're going to just line it up and slide them into place and lock them in. And as you can see, they stay within the rails. All right. So now we have the battery cage in place. We're going to apply the 2 bolts. So that's going to be the 2 smaller flathead bolts. I'm sorry I didn't show these before. I forgot these were in there. So we're going to go ahead and screw down. Come on, focus on the truck, not my arm. We're going to screw down the battery cage. All right. Okay, so now the battery cage is down. So if you're looking here, we have a lot of slack and everything. So we're going to just probably put this underneath so that way they flow together pretty good. And then what we're going to do is in the back over here, we have the wires. You don't want them crazy tight, but you don't want them crazy loose either. So we're going to hold both wires and put them behind this clamp here right on the battery cage. All right. So right now this wire for the motor is very tight. So I'm just going to pull and give it enough room to look like it's looping. And then from there, we'll see how bad we have to pull it tight when we drop in the actual ECM, which we're getting ready to do right now. So grab your ECM. The front of the vehicle is facing me. I hope you guys can see that. So you see how this is the front bumper and it's facing me. So this is the back bumper. So now you guys can know how we're holding the truck. So this is the back bumper here. ECM should be legible, which means that we can read it with this way with no problem. We're going to drop it into place and we have those 2 mounting brackets right there. 1, 2. Now this should work for any of the TRX-4M vehicles, even the TRX-4M T, the monster truck version. So now I'm going to put the long screw in the top piece for the bracket over there, and then the one for the bracket over here. All right, as you can see, those two are in place. And now we're going to screw those down. And again, it's focusing on my forearm instead of the actual truck itself. All right. So now we have those two in place. The actual ECM is down and mounted. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take the motor and plug it in, which is going to be on this side right here, the square. It's only going to fit one way, so try to line it up so that way you don't bend the spikes. I don't believe it's easy to bend the spikes, but it's not difficult, like crazy difficult either. So just try to line up the spikes with the wire and drop that into place. It should drop in somewhat snug, but you know, other than that, it won't go in at all, but it should slide right in. All right, so now we have the steering servo, which is going to be this one. And I hope you guys can see that notch sticking out of the plastic right there. So this one is going to fold, and we're going to put it into the first plug port right here. All right, so it's going to go to that first one. It's going to say channel 1, and we're going to push that and make sure that that's down into place, and we're good to go. All right, so now that's pretty much it. The installation is somewhat done. So before we continue on, the servo wire looks to be a little bit too tight as well. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do is just grab it and pull it through a little bit, so that way it basically gives a bend going over here. Hope you guys can see that. There you go. So you want it a little bit so that way it can maneuver when it's maneuvering with the suspension, but not to the point where it's going to touch the motor. All right. So what we should do is we're going to probably put a zip tie there and a zip tie here. Although they didn't provide zip ties, so I'm going to leave you guys with it the way it is because they didn't provide zip ties. So I don't know if you guys have zip ties either. I don't want to do something just in case if you guys don't have it. So I'm basically trying to do this to the stock performance as if a newbie person would be getting this, right? So just make sure you have those slack pieces for the motor and the servo. Everything else is plugged in. We have a battery, which is probably going to be in this truck. So let's grab this battery in this truck. All right, so you're going to make sure that you have a good set of batteries in your remote. Okay. So with a good set of batteries, what that's going to look like is basically when you turn the remote on, it should just be solid green. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're basically going to plug in the truck. So I got the controller off. I'm going to put it to the side. We're going to go ahead and put the battery in. So now I heard a lot of complaints. So if we put the battery in this way, right, we're going to hold down the battery. We're going to have issues. The battery does not fit. I hope you guys can see this. What's going on? So the battery does not fit over and plug in. Okay, normally the plug was right down here, so it worked. So if you put the battery in this position, it's not going to work. If you put the battery in this position where you have it upside down and the wires are sticking out over here, it just might make it, but that's really tight for the battery wires. So now you're going to have to be mindful that you take the battery and slide it in like so. So the words are going to be facing the back. I'm going to strap the battery down. So the best way to remember it is the wires have to face the back tire on the passenger side, and they'll fit and plug in at the easiest point with enough slack. As you can see, I can push on them so they're not crazy tight. right? And that's how it goes, and it's perfect to go. All right, so real quick, let's go ahead and unplug the battery. All right, so now we're gonna set the controller to the ECM, which basically you're gonna have to press and hold the set button up here on the top of your controller, turn it on, and that light should go red, blinking, let it go. And as you can see, it's still blinking red. Now we're gonna switch over to the vehicle. We're gonna press and hold the set button on the ECM while plugging in the ECM. We're gonna hold down that button. I hope I'm holding it down. It's a little difficult because you don't really feel the tactile button press hardly. So we're gonna do that. 1, 2, 3 blinks, let it go. It'll turn green. You'll hear the servo snap into place. At the same time, the button on the controller will turn green and you'll have full function of the actual vehicle. So we go forward, we go backwards. All right. So to make sure that you have the right settings for your servo and everything is basically going to be the steering. When you sit the controller down next to the vehicle, if you turn to the right, the vehicle will turn to the right. If you turn to the left, it'll turn to the left. Okay, I have a video on how to set that if you need to reset that and everything. So it looks like we got forward really good. As you can see, the motor is moving. It looks really good. Everything is going. So I want to set it into the crawl mode. I need 3 blinking lights and then let it go. So let's get that done. Let's see if we can get it into crawl mode. So we're going to press, hold it down. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and that's crawl mode right there. So we should be good in crawl mode. So I hope you guys seen that. If you didn't, I'll do it one more time and I'll bring the camera in. I didn't realize how far the camera was out. All right, so now I'm gonna put it in trail mode. So I need 2 blinking lights. So with everything on, the controllers on and everything, I'm gonna press the button, hold it down. That's 1 light, 1, 2, and I'm gonna let it go. That's trail mode. That's the factory settings that you have when you first get the vehicle. Like I said, I want to put it in crawler mode, so I'm going to press and hold until I get 3 blinking lights. It's 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Let go. Now I'm in crawl mode again, so I can go take it over to my indoor course right before I blow my nose, or right after I blow my nose. So now the light kit, I'm gonna put the body on. So the light kit is gonna go right into this section over here. Okay, I'm gonna put those in that end. So if you have a light kit for a trailer or anything, and you find that the lights are not fitting for the trailer, what you're gonna do is they have extensions from Traxxas or adapters that one splits into another one. Those actually work really good and everything, especially if you're going to be throwing on a lot of pair of lights and everything. So let's take this over to the indoor course and see how it does. All right, so we're over here at my indoor crawler course, okay, which is just, I call it Rubble City. So we have the High Trail C10 with the new TRX-4M Brushless Power System in it. And we are in crawl mode, so we're going to see how we do with that. We are running the stock transmission. So this is not the 2-speed transmission yet. And this thing is quiet. Let me stop talking. I'm going to put the microphone. I'm going to actually put the microphone like right here so you guys can hear this thing. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that loud bang. That was one of the rocks falling, and now me trying to clip the audio back on. So it did get a little bit of fidget, as you guys could see, but These are this is the stock transmission with the stock gear, and we're just in crawler mode. That's it. There's no crazy fancy things. The only other thing that I have modified on this rig is basically the Enduro rims with the stock factory tires wrapped around the Enduro rims. They sell a insert kit that allows you to use the stock Traxxas tires on their rims. Right, so I hope you guys can see that. Oh, my light went out. Hold on. Oh, my light is dying. Okay. I was wondering why it was so dark. So let's get over this course real quick. Oop. So the course is violent. As you can see, I'm not paying attention. I'm trying to look through the camera. So I don't know what happened right now, but I lost power. The lights are out. Okay. So I cannot see the ECM, so I'm popping off the lid. And the ECM has no power on it. So it's off completely. So I wonder if the battery just died. Like really, really, really just died. So I'm going to unplug it and plug it back in. And it looks good. So I'm wondering what happened. I think under stress load, it turned itself off to a safety or something. I wonder if that was the case. But we're back up and running. We got the lights on. My camera light fell short to life again. So it is quiet. Quieter than the factory system. The factory ECM. Obviously. I'm having trouble navigating these rocks right now. Let's see. There we go. All right. Woo! Little jumpy there, but it did get over. So now I'm just going to flip the truck over because I don't have that much room here. And we're going to go this way. And the truck is making it up. A little bit of fidget. And we're making it over. That is one heck of a gap that's over there right now. So we're making it through. And you could see the fidget. I hope you guys could see the fidgets that it's doing. We got full stock servo, full stock transmission. Only thing that's modified now is the motor and the tires on this right now. And not for nothing, I'm enjoying the performance. Oh man, I scratched the body. So what's happening is that this big, massive crater hole is getting the tires stuck. There used to be a boulder there, which is this. So if I was paying more attention and really like trying, there we go. The truck would make it with no problem. There goes that slow crawl, nice. I'm gonna try to do the slow crawl back up because I am rushing it a little bit because I'm just trying to see what's what. So now I'm on the slow crawl. Typically the trucks get stuck right about here. And you can see it's actually doing pretty good. I'm not putting any more pressure on the actual throttle, and it just went over by itself. I didn't put any extra pressure on the throttle. That was awesome. Same thing, I'm still holding the throttle. Now I'm throttle blasting it. I don't know where it's hung up. Oh, it's hung up on the front differential. Alrighty. Sweet. All right, let's get back to the bench and I'll talk to you guys there. All right, so let's get into it. I'm going to tell you guys my closing thoughts, and then we're going to do The next video is going to be on how to put the 2-speed transmission in with the brushless system from Traxxas, so on and so forth. So real quick before I get to do that, let me tell you guys what I think about this setup right now on the high trail. So let's do the full breakdown. This is the Traxxas TRX-4M special edition, I believe it is, C10 high trail. That's why it's in black. It was supposed to only be provided at the hobby stores, so you couldn't order it online and everything. I was very happy to get that. What modifications does this truck have? It has the full light kit for the lower part of the vehicle, and then I have Endura rims, as you can see right here. So these are Endura rims with the actual stock tire, Mickey Thompson tires that come with the vehicle. So how did I get that done? Endura makes a ring that has the spacing that it requires to use the Traxxas tires. I have a video about that. I'll link it in the description below if you're interested. Right. Other than that, what do I think about the performance and everything? All right, here we go. I think it's amazing. It's an awesome drop-in unit. You don't have to play with it on any computer. You don't have to play with it on an app. So in that aspect, I think it's great for anybody just looking to quickly upgrade their truck or their TRX-4M to a brushless system and everything with the basic drop, and everything's going to fit, everything's going to work, which is awesome because I love the fact that the light kit works. So now, what do you want to do with your Traxxas TRX-4M is the main question. Okay, so me personally, this is great, but I do own the 2-speed transmission. I have it in my Defender over here, and I also have the brushless system in the Defender over there as well. So now, why does that make such a big difference? Because I know how it works. So I can honestly tell you, if you don't want to play with the gears that Traxxas provides, which is going to be the blue set and the light gray set. So the blue set is going to be the high gears, the faster gears and everything. The blue set, the gray set is going to be the low gears for crawling and so on and so forth. So if you want the versatility of both of those worlds, I definitely recommend that you pick up the 2-speed transmission. I know some people will be like, oh, but it's stupid. You got to pick the truck up and switch it, you know, by hand and everything like that. You want to change gears, man, by all means. And then your truck is stuck in either high or it's stuck in low, or you're stuck in this mid-range where the truck is right now and everything. And you can only control it with the ECM. Being able to control everything and tune it to the speeds that you want, I believe are going to make this truck a killer. This is the high trail. I want to get the monster truck, and the monster truck, I know I want that to be more faster than I want it to have a crawl mode. This truck, I've been debating on what to do with it. I didn't know what to do with it. You know, that's why it only has the rims are done to it right now and everything. Now that this has come out, I'm happy that I got a second one. I'm happy that I got a second 2-speed transmission, because that's going to go in here and everything. And I'm going to build this truck up from that point on. I think I'm going to get the, oh my God, the axles that Traxxas provides as well, so that way I can get better clearance and everything. It doesn't need it. It's just me going crazy. I want to try to get these parts and do the videos for the installations and everything. Check it out. Chapter 2 is coming up right now. Shifting it into second. Oh, shoot. Later.